April 11, 2022, World War IV update and other news. Boris Johnson, in an interview on GBN, revealed that people in the United Kingdom had a 36% increase in people getting overweight than before the pandemic. He said that is going to cause them a staggering health cost issue down the road. Reports are coming in so fast, I had to jot a few notes in. They're coming in that fast. ITV reported that Russian soldiers have caused atrocity all over the country, not just a couple areas. Citizens would be kidnapped and then dropped off back at their houses a few days later dead. Invisible signs of torture, many mass graves, many attempts to burn bodies and cover atrocities that failed. An elderly lady about 5 foot shook her fist and uttered things that I can't even print here, and then the word Ruski. She mustered up all the cursing she probably could and then ended with Ruski. There was another long convoy of Russian military headed toward Kharkov. It was 8 miles long. The Sun just showed Ukraine military video blowing up an entire tank battalion near Donetsk. USA Today reports Russia has lost 19,500 troops, 725 tanks, 1,923 armored vehicles, 347 artillery systems, 154 aircraft, 137 helicopters, and an overwhelming amount of other equipment since the war began. The Ukraine military estimated Monday Russia has not provided numbers, but says its troop losses has been significant, according to Ukraine official report. Pentagon official estimates Russian troop levels as high as 60,000 in the east and south, with more coming from the Kiev area and elsewhere. Associated Press reports that tens of thousands of citizens of Mariupol died in the war so far. This is double the Ukraine report a week ago, so it has been very bloodied over the last week. More than double, actually. I have seen reports and blogs where so-called conservatives, in their efforts to be isolationist, try to pretend the war is merely Zelensky and Putin playing footsie. They could never be so wrong in all their lives. World War IV has already started. The Pope even announced that years ago. Wake up. Well, he called it World War III, but US won that when the Soviet Union collapsed. Russia just paid their debt payments in rubles and was given a default rating by S&P Global Ratings because of it. Russia is now threatening to sue. Multiple sources have reported on this. Alux.com reports a list of 15 countries going bankrupt: Italy, Sweden, USA, UK, South Africa, Turkey, Indonesia, Spain, India, France, Argentina, Serbia, Portugal, Russia, Brazil. That was a year and a half ago. They are in worse shape now. I tried to find a more recent list, and the algos are hiding them. BBC reports Russia warned Finland and Sweden against joining NATO. Russian attack strategy in Phase 2 should be coming in the next week, and is apparently to defeat Ukraine forces in Donbas region and Odessa. If this is accomplished, they'll be moving their forces back to western Ukraine after it's done. It does not look like Ukrainian soldiers and civilians alike have any recourse but to fight until they die. Some have gone back to Kiev. They will be needed to fight against Russia in Phase 3. The good news for Ukrainians is that they are beginning to receive more powerful weaponry to fight with. I'm guessing that if the Russians complete their mission in Ukraine, it will be followed by Moldova, Latvia, Estonia, then Finland and Sweden, followed by Poland. They will take any non-NATO countries on their list first. Hindustan Times reported that today Pakistan Parliament is voting to replace Imran Khan after he lost a no-confidence vote. The vote was stopped and then went to the Supreme Court and then back to a parliamentary vote. 172 votes out of 342 are needed to elect someone to succeed him, otherwise he will remain Prime Minister. Financial shenanigans is the reason that is touted for the change, but I do believe there is something underlying that is driving it. India is playing both sides. They abstained from voting Russia out of the UN Human Rights Council. They knew Russia would get voted out anyway, but wouldn't take a public stand against them. Global economic collapse is only a short time away, according to many sources. TFI Global reports Indonesia has created a 14-country alliance in the South Pacific against China. Wieren reported that 1.5 million in Puerto Rico were without power over the weekend. Puerto Rican power company is $9 billion in debt and cannot afford to do any improvements to the aging system. Wieren also reported Sri Lanka is collapsing economically, along with a long list of other countries. I-24 France reported that in the first round of voting, according to exit polls, Macron got 27.9%, Le Pen 24.3%, and Mélenchon 20.1% with 65% turnout. Macron will face Le Pen in the second round held April 24. I personally thought that Le Pen would have performed better, but I don't live in France. Dr. Steve Turley reported actual numbers were closer to 27% Macron and 23% Le Pen, and is highly optimistic that Le Pen will win on April 24th. BBC interviewed a bunch of alt-left globalists who were all upset over the outcome. Kind of funny, actually. Dr. Turley said the Generation Z only had 15% vote for Le Pen a couple years ago. This time it was more like 56%. This election has come down to globalist Nazi elitists voting for Macron and freedom fighter France lovers voting for Le Pen. We'll see where France's heart is in all of this on April 24th. TFI Global is reporting that China is arming 52 countries within Africa with militias. The next story is being reported by multiple media outlets, but not nearly enough of them. UnitedPushback.com reports the CCP in China, in its lockdown of Shanghai under the guise of COVID, are forcing people to give up their children, give up their businesses, give up their pets. By give up, I mean give them over to the state to be killed or stolen. They are also depriving them of food to eat. The incessant screams go on forever in the night sky from the apartment buildings in Shanghai, couples leaping off buildings together to die before starving to death. And this is the government your Democrat leaders in the U.S. are literally in bed with. You haven't forgotten about Congressman Eric Swalwell, Hunter Biden, James Biden, and Pelosi, have you? The sheer viciousness of the death squads, even worse than the Russian leaders I talked about earlier. Oh yeah, and Mitch McConnell's wife, her parents are members of the PLA. 26 million people are not allowed to go outside for any reason. This is coming to a big city near you soon. I just don't understand why all 26 million don't overthrow the government. TFI Global reports that Marco Rubio suggested that we use CRP, Conservation Reserve Program, land 4 million acres, which could yield 18.7 tons of grain. To which Biden said, nah, I'm going to let Americans have food shortages because they are overweight. Look forward to empty store shelves soon and no food in the fall. Try to buy directly from your local farmer, and for God's sake, plant your own garden, indoor and outdoor if you're able. This just in from the BBC. Shehbaz Sharif is the new Prime Minister of Pakistan. He is the brother of Nawaz Sharif, a former Pakistani Prime Minister, who was barred from holding office because of corruption himself. He won with 174 votes with 172 needed. Trending on Bing, WrestleMania beat Super Bowl social media? I figured it'd be about the same. Good news of the day? Well, the article came out a month ago. TheWeek.com reported that Tom Tursick from New Jersey traveled 25,000 miles in 7 years, wore out 45 pairs of sneakers, and traveled the entire globe by foot, plus a few boat rides, I suppose. He adopted a dog named Savannah in Texas, 2,500 miles into it. I thought about trying to walk the U.S., but the whole world? Plumb loco. I'm glad someone was brave enough to do it and God was with him. Thank you for watching The Horn and have the best day of your life.